the lie we've been sold about. Black success? Welcome to Soft Girl Era, the sacred space where strong Black women and unlearned survival rediscover softness and reclaim the joy, rest, and freedom they deserve without guilt, without apology, and without explanation. I'm your host, LeAnne Dolce, pronounced Dolce, like sweet softness whispered in French. And I'm your guide from burnout to boundaries, from doing to being, from strong to soft and loving every second of it. Today, I had the profound honor of sitting down with Ku Allen, a visionary whose work is reshaping how we understand empowerment, healing, and what it truly means to thrive as Black professionals in spaces that celebrate us on the surface but still challenge us beneath it. Ku Allen is not just making noise, except this, they are making change. Real, systemic, soul deep change that's helping Black women and professionals everywhere step into their power without sacrificing their peace. They are dismantling the narratives that keep us hustling harder for less, and they are building pathways for Black professionals to lead with authenticity, rest with intention, and heal without apology. What they shared with me, what we're about to unpack together today, is going to challenge everything you thought you knew about success, representation, and what it really takes to build a life that honors both your ambition and your healing. So let me ask you something. How many times have you looked at a city, a company, a community, and thought, this is it? This is where Black excellence lives. This is where we're finally winning. Maybe it was Atlanta with its thriving Black owned businesses lining the streets. Maybe it was a corporate boardroom where you finally saw someone who looked like you in a leadership role and you felt hope. You felt pride. You felt like finally we made it. But here's the thing Ellen reminded me of, and I want you to sit with this for a moment. Visibility is not the same as equity. Representation is not the same as access. And success stories, as beautiful and necessary as they are, can sometimes mask the deeper, harder truths we're still living through. Let me take you to Atlanta for a moment. Atlanta is often called a mecca for Black business, and it is. It has the highest rate of Black owned employer firms in the entire United States, over 13,766 of them. That's not just impressive, that's historic. That's the kind of number that makes you want to pack your bags, move south, and build your empire. And many have. Atlanta has produced Black millionaires, thriving storefronts, networks of support, mentorship programs, and a legacy of entrepreneurship that stretches back decades. It's a city that has intentionally fostered an ecosystem where Black business owners can see themselves, connect with one another, and dream bigger. The streets are lined with Black owned restaurants, boutiques, tech startups, consulting firms. You walk through certain neighborhoods and you feel it. You feel the pride, you feel the possibility. You feel like this is what we've been working toward. This is what freedom looks like. But here's what Q Allen wants us to understand. Even in Atlanta, even in this so called Mecca, inequality persists. Beneath the surface of all that visible success, Black entrepreneurs are still fighting for access to capital. They're still underrepresented in senior leadership. They're still facing wealth gaps that no amount of hustle can close on its own. The city serves as both a beacon and a cautionary tale. It shows us what's possible when we build intentional support systems, but it also reminds us that representation alone is not enough. We need systemic change. We need equitable access. We need to dismantle the barriers that keep us grinding harder for less, even in the spaces that were supposed to be ours. Because here's the uncomfortable truth: you can have 13,000 Black owned businesses and still have Black entrepreneurs who can't get a business loan. You can have Black millionaires on magazine covers and still have Black professionals who are the only ones in the room carrying the weight of representation on their shoulders every single day. You can have a thriving ecosystem and still have people who are one emergency away from losing everything because the safety nets, the generational wealth, the access to capital, it's just not there. And this isn't just an Atlanta story. This is a global story. Let me take you across the ocean for a moment. In the United Kingdom, a comprehensive review was conducted to investigate the barriers facing ethnic minorities in the workplace. It was called the McGregor Smith Review, and what they found was staggering. Black professionals remain severely underrepresented in senior leadership. Less than 1.2% of FTSE 100 executive roles are held by Black leaders. Less than 1.2%. Let that number sit with you. These are the top 100 companies in the UK, and Black leaders hold barely over 1% of executive roles. And the pay disparities, still there. The lack of mentorship, still there. The cultural exclusion, the feeling of being the only one, the pressure to code switch, to perform, to prove your worth over and over again, still there. But here's the part that should make every single organization sit up and pay attention. The review also found that closing the participation gap could add 24 billion pounds annually to the UK economy. 24 billion. And companies with diverse leadership see up to 35% higher financial returns. So this isn't just about doing the right thing morally, though that should be enough. This is about recognizing that when Black professionals are empowered to lead, when we're given the resources, the support, the space to thrive, everyone benefits. The economy benefits, organizations benefit, communities benefit. So, why aren't we there yet? Why are we still fighting for a seat at tables we helped build? Why are we still proving our worth in rooms that profit from our presence but resist our power? Kay Allen believes it's because we've been conditioned to celebrate the surface without interrogating the structure. We've been taught to be grateful for visibility without demanding equity. We've been told that if we just work harder, hustle longer, sacrifice more, we'll finally break through. But here's the truth, and this is the truth that Soft Girl Era is built on. You cannot hustle your way out of a system that was designed to exhaust you. And speaking of exhaustion, let's talk about what that hustle is really costing us. Because while we're out here building empires, leading teams, raising families, holding down entire communities, our mental health is suffering. A global survey was conducted with 227 entrepreneurs from around the world. And what they found should alarm every single one of us. 87.7% of entrepreneurs struggle with at least one mental health issue. 87.7%. That's nearly 9 out of every 10 people who are building businesses, chasing dreams, creating opportunities. And when they look specifically at Black and African American founders, the numbers were even higher. Black entrepreneurs reported some of the highest levels of stress, anxiety, depression, and burnout. Let that sink in for a moment. We're not just navigating the same challenges as everyone else, we're navigating those challenges plus the weight of bias, plus the pressure of representation, plus the trauma of being told we have to be twice as good to get half as much, plus the reality that one mistake could close doors not just for us, but for everyone who looks like us who comes after. And we're doing it without the same access to support networks, without the same financial cushion, without the same permission to rest, without the same grace to fail and try again. The survey found that Black entrepreneurs face unique pressures. Financial insecurity, yes, but also the constant experience of bias in funding meetings, in networking spaces and partnerships, the isolation of being one of the few, the weight of carrying your community's hopes on your shoulders, the exhaustion of having to educate, advocate, and prove yourself in space that should already see your value. And here's what breaks my heart. Many of these entrepreneurs said they didn't feel like they could talk about their mental health struggles. They didn't feel like they had permission to not be okay. Because if they showed vulnerability, if they admitted they were struggling, they worried it would confirm stereotypes. They worried it would cost them opportunities. They worried it would make them look weak. But here's what Quay Allen wants us to know, and I need you to hear this. Mental health is not a luxury. It's not something you get to once you've made it. It's the foundation. It's the thing that determines whether you can sustain your success, whether you can actually enjoy the life you're building, whether you can show up as your whole self instead of just the version of you that's learned to survive. And when entrepreneurs were given access to peer support groups, when they found mental health advocacy and culturally competent resources, something powerful happened. They reported improved resilience, better business outcomes, increased willingness to seek help. They stopped suffering in silence. They stopped pretending everything was fine when it wasn't. And their businesses didn't fall apart. In fact, they got stronger because here's the truth: you cannot pour from an empty cup, you cannot lead from a place of depletion. You cannot build something sustainable if you're running on fumes. And that's what this soft girl era is really about. It's about unlearning survival mode. It's about recognizing that softness is not weakness, it's wisdom. It's about understanding that rest is not laziness, it's resistance. It's about giving yourself permission to heal, to set boundaries, to say no without guilt, to prioritize your peace without apology. Because the world taught us that strength looks like carrying everything without breaking. But real strength is knowing when to put something down. Real strength is asking for help. Real strength is protecting your peace, even when people call you selfish for it. Kay Allen reminded me that empowerment is both an individual and a collective journey. Yes, we need to do the inner work. We need to heal our wounds. We need to reclaim our identities. We need to build lives that honor our whole selves, not just the parts that are productive or profitable. But we also need to advocate for systemic change. We need to build networks that support one another. We need to share our stories, not just the highlight reel, but the real, messy, complicated truth of what it takes to survive and thrive in spaces that weren't designed for us. We need to stop celebrating surface level wins and start demanding structural equity. We need to stop being grateful for crumbs and start building our own tables. Because here's what I know to be true: when one of us heals, we create space for others to heal. When one of us sets a boundary, we give others permission to do the same. When one of us chooses softness over survival, we disrupt the narrative that says we have to be strong all the time. And that's the revolution. That's the work. That's what it means to step into your soft girl era. So here's what I want you to take away from today. First, representation matters, but real equity requires systemic change. Celebrate the wins, yes. Be proud of how far we've come, but don't stop demanding more. Don't stop interrogating the structures. Don't stop asking who's still being left out, who's still struggling, who's still fighting for access. Second, mental health is not optional. Prioritizing self care and community support is essential for long term success. You are not weak for needing rest. You are not failing for needing help. You are human, and your healing matters. Third, empowerment is both an individual and collective journey. Your healing matters. And so does your advocacy. Your rest matters. And so does your resistance. Your softness matters. And so does your strength. Now, here's the question Quay Allen left me with, the one I want to leave you with today, the one I want you to carry with you long after this conversation ends. How can you use your own story, your own influence, your own power to challenge the barriers facing Black professionals in your community? And what steps will you take today? Not tomorrow, not next week, not when you have more time or more energy or more resources, but today, to support both your own healing and the empowerment of others. Because here's the truth: the system is not going to fix itself. The barriers are not going to disappear because we worked hard enough or waited long enough. Change requires action, it requires courage, it requires us to stop accepting what is and start building what should be. And it starts with you. It starts with your willingness to rest when you're tired, to set boundaries when you're overwhelmed, to ask for help when you need it, to speak up when you see injustice, to support others who are struggling, to share your story, not just the polished version, but the real one. Because your softness is your strength. Your rest is your revolution, and your healing is the foundation for everything else. So I'm asking you today, what will you do? What will you change? What will you demand? What will you no longer accept? Because the world is waiting for you, not the version of you that's exhausted and depleted, not the version of you that's carrying everyone else's burdens. The real you, the whole you, the healed you, the soft you, the rested you, the powerful you. That's the version of you the world needs. That's the version of you that will change everything. So step into it, claim it, own it, and watch what happens when you finally choose yourself.